I personally think things can get a little tricky when the federal government is listing stipulations in order to disperse disaster funds. But let's talk about this article today, or this news today, that the U.S. links $1.9 billion in state disaster funds to Israel boycott stance. Now, I saw recently Donald Trump had told, donors privately that he's losing some of his supporters on Israel. You see people like Tucker Carlson, and you get the American First Movement, which is popular on the MAGA side. And then you see people to the left who may want to have conversations about U.S. connections to Israel, conflict, imperialism, as it all is. Now, let's get into this article. Now, the part that I would love to get some feedback from, especially from Jewish American friends here, and how it's linked to Israel, is it says the Federal Emergency Management Agency stated in grant notice posted on Friday that states must follow the terms and conditions. Those conditions required they certify they would not sever commercial relations specifically with Israeli companies. Now, I know that this is connected to the BDS movement. My only question, and this is the main thesis of my essay, is how will the federal government be able to differentiate people severing ties or commercial relations with Israeli companies based on business needs versus states that it thinks is trying to participate in the BDS movement? Now, I know that this is largely symbolic because I'm actually aware of something that they talk about in the article here, which is that at least 34 states already have anti-BDS law or policies, right? And I do think that one of the things that people talk about is how BDS itself, that boycott movement itself, is inherently anti-Semitic. Let me read you some of the reasoning for that. And the idea is that it's not the boycott in itself, but the BDS movement itself. They state, this is from the American Jewish Committee, that the co-founder and leader of the BDS movement has stated, we oppose a Jewish state in any part. That's what they stated. So that inherently is anti-Semitic. That's the argument. I do want to take this back, though, to a political aspect, which is you got to ask this administration how that lands to Americans when you say things like this. I think a lot of us understand racism. We understand anti-Semitic behavior to a certain extent, depending on what demographic you're in. It's probably easy for you as a Jewish person to be able to tell when someone's being anti-Semitic. If you're black, and you can tell someone's being racist. If you're gay, you can tell someone's being homophobic. But there is a mental block for me here, right, in how this news is being presented. I think that generally you probably had a better, chance to be able to sell this more to Americans when we're talking about disaster funds. It's not even like this is some loose, dollars just running around. Maybe if you wanted to say that, for states that are in ways anti-Semitic, or states that are, anti-American, anti-black, anti-gay, anti-whatever, that you will withhold funds, that makes sense. But when you specifically list things this way and list memos this way, I'd say to Donald Trump, you shouldn't be shocked when you have to tell your donors that you're losing supporters, because this feels very specific.